Move the ship out of the asteroid field so that we can send a clear transmission.
All right, everybody, what is up? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to bring you the review, my interpretation, and what I think of Star Wars Acolyte Episode 1. I did recently watch it, and I have some notes here I wanted to go over here in front of me. So let's go ahead and dive in, and I hope whoever's watching is enjoying it. And if so, always feel free to drop a comment below, and make sure to like and subscribe and share the video as well. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start off with my interpretation here. So, the opening crawl, I didn't like it. Felt kind of weak. Didn't really feel like Star Wars. 100 years. Basically, the show opens up with this. It's not even an opening crawl. It's more of like just an opening slideshow, and you get like one image of a few sentences. 100 years before the rise of the Empire. It is a time of peace. The Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic had prospered for centuries without war. Okay, sure. But the Dark Order's galaxy, a powerful few learned to use the Force in secret. Of course, in the second episode, we'll definitely be touching on that. One of them, a lone assassin, risks discovery to seek revenge. So right off in the first episode, it's never established why this lone assassin, or if you want to call them an acolyte, why they want revenge. I'm guessing we'll find that out in episode 2, which I'm hoping later this coming week to put out a review for it as well. And, of course, episode 3 and 4, and then I think tomorrow episode 5 premieres. I was kind of beating myself up and, beating myself up. Do I want to watch this show? Do I not? Ever since the train wreck and shit show that the Kenobi show was and Book of Boba Fett, I just had taken a step back the last couple of years and not watched or reviewed any real Star Wars shows from Disney Plus, just because I do not like the direction that they've taken it. And I'm not here to slander everything that Disney has done. I mean, I will, give them kudos and good graces where it's deserved. But where it's not, I'll make sure to, shed light on that and point it out. But I felt as though the opening crawl was weak. Didn't feel like an opening crawl. I get that these TV shows they're not meant to be Star Wars films, but I had always just thought that, one, they were releasing these shows episodically just because it's Disney Plus and they can get you to stay subscribed longer versus just either dropping the entire series one day like maybe Netflix would do, or just doing a movie. Right? The longer they get if they can draw out a show for 2 months, that's 2 months worth of subscription they get out of you versus you just going to the movie theater once and spending like, $50. But then again, what do I know? Felt as though the opening crawl was weak. I didn't like it. Didn't feel like Star Wars, and a lot of other people have made their feelings known with the show. Of course, I mean, let's go take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score real quick. But the Rotten Tomatoes score, let's see here. It's sitting right here at a 13%. 13% audience score. Absolutely atrocious. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But, it is what it is. And we'll get to that in a minute. I think it is also the lowest rating Star Wars show out of all of them, and there's a few reasons why. And we'll go over some of the pros and cons. The list I have here in front of me. I do have Master Adara. So when is it May? It's May, yeah. When May shows up onto this planet that Master Adara's at, because she's basically hired to, I guess, go ahead and go kill her, almost like a bounty. or she's wanting revenge, but it's never made clear, at least in this first episode, why she's wanting revenge. But Master Adara is just kind of just sitting at the table, very chill, very and the May, she walks up to her and she's like, "I have unfinished business with you. I want you to strike me." And Master Adara's like, "No, I have no quarrel with you. Get the fuck out of my face." And then basically she ends up, fucking all these other people up, which is also interesting because, not Osha, but May. I keep wanting to call her Osha. May is really small, but she's able to kick like so many people's ass. Not that that's a problem. It's just she just I guess when you're that in tune with the Force or the dark side, you're able to kind of do really whatever you want, I suppose. So, but yeah, Master Adara, she's just sitting there minding her own business, and then you have May come up, and she's like, fight me, bitch." And Master Adara's like, "No way in hell," and she's like, "Fine, I'm gonna start putting people in harm's way, and then you're gonna fight me." And to which, of course, they do end up then fighting. And the hand-to-hand combat did not feel like Star Wars at all. Was it cool? Yes. Is it something fresh and unique that this show can provide that you haven't really seen a whole lot of elsewhere? Also, yes. So that is something that I will give credit to, at least the first episode of The Acolyte, and keep in mind, this is just a review on the first episode. It's not a review on tomorrow will be like halfway through the series, or over halfway. But the hand-to-hand combat is cool. I like it. It's a unique take. I also did like how they implemented the Force with the hand-to-hand combat, going back and forth. It did definitely felt more fresh, more. The combat in this first episode, I will say, was more eye-opening or more attention grabbing than the combat in the sequels, like with Rey and Kylo Ren. The combat there is just very stale, very boring, not very interesting whatsoever. But the combat here in this show, at least the first episode, is a little bit interesting. So I will give it kudos to that. I would also wanted to point out that some of the camera angles and the way they shot the show, at least the bar scene, I noticed, it gives you a good sort of feel of the overall space. So you do get to see a lot of like the bar and the different levels, and just the camera was capturing really, really well, at least in the bar scene, at least. It was capturing really well of what that space felt like. You could sort of place yourself in the bar and envision, like, okay, here's the stair, here's where it goes up, here's where they had their fight, and here's where Adara, ultimately came to her succumbed to her demise, which was really odd because she did. During Master Adara's death, she died with I don't know, it's like a kunai knife, just like a steel knife to her heart, directly at her heart, right? What was interesting about that is because of the Rise of Skywalker, I'm never able not to look at a wound or an injury, especially involving the Jedi or a Force user, and just think to myself, what? No Force healing? No Force healing like we had in the Rise of Skywalker? What the fuck? Because one of the cool things, at least about the show, and I'm hoping to get more scenes, even though Master Adara, she dies like 5 minutes into the show, if that, which I think is stupid. It would be cool to see more of her because she is a Jedi Master. She does have a pretty badass looking lightsaber, or at least it just kind of suits her character. But Master Adara, I bet she's going to be a fan favorite, or she might not, and her character's legacy will live as long as she was on the show, which wasn't very long. Um, but I'm just thinking it was dumb with no force healing. Um, Now we get to the fire in space. I often wonder who the fuck is writing these shows, which again I'll remind you, Leslie Headland's, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, not suspicious or sus whatsoever. But the writing team, they like. I can understand like if there's an explosion in space and there's a couple of sparks here and there, but a full on fire in space, God, man, that just sounds kind of idiotic and stupid. Um, you know, there's no oxygen in space, so how the fuck is there a fire? That's just my opinion. One thing I also noticed with the show too is that the dialogue at times does seem to sort of struggle. It just doesn't seem, right. So like a lot of the dialogue, you think the character's going to say one thing when they actually end up saying another thing, and it's just it's almost like there's a lot of lines and dialogue that could be rewritten to have the show just sort of flow a little bit better or make a little bit more sense. There's a scene here where Yord is talking to Osha, who is May's twin sister, and coincidentally, they both have the exact same hairstyle, and they haven't seen each other in, I don't know how many years, like, is it 15 years or something like that? But Osha here thinks that her sister May had died on her home world, had perished in a fire that killed all of her family. Um, but yet they somehow have the exact same hairstyle, and that's also why they think that she's the one who killed Master Adara the night prior on the other planet, just because they ended up receiving the bartender as a witness, and he's like, "Yeah, get her. That's the girl who did it. She fucked up my bar. She's the one that killed that Jedi Master." When it really wasn't her, but maybe if she had a different hairstyle, that would have helped not convict her. I don't know. Another interesting scene is that the Trade Federation. There are some members of the Trade Federation aboard the ship that OSHA is, working on and living. Um, but the Trade Federation, they have no accents, which is kind of interesting. If you go back and you watch, um, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just pull it up. Well, no, I don't need to pull it up. But if you go back and you watch the episode and then you compare it to like the Phantom Menace, there's no Trade Federation accents, and through every other time you see that species, they usually have a distinctive sort of dialect or accent, which is not present for some reason in this show. Um, But Yord is here with, as you can see, Yord is here with his. I believe he introduced him. He introduces himself as a Jedi Knight, which I thought was interesting. Because when he walks aboard the ship, he tells the Trade Federation, "Hey, my name is Yord. I'm a Jedi Knight with the Republic of the Jedi Order." And again, it's just the dialogue just seems very very odd. Um, and so I went back and I watched this episode twice, and I actually watched it the second time with the subtitles on to see what I had missed in terms of the dialogue, and there was quite a bit that I had missed. There's a scene here where him and his, I believe it's his Jedi Padawan, they are discussing with Osha, where were you the night of the murder? What were you doing? Oh, I was in this room. And she's like, "Why are you asking all these questions? You already have all this information. You know that I had left the Jedi Order. I'm no longer a part of it." Um, and, Yord is just like, "Oh, well, you were mourning the passing of your family." and Master Adara had stated that, maybe we shouldn't train you any further, or you should be exiled from the Order, and that's why they think that she had motive to kill her. When, of course, excuse me, that just simply wasn't the case. So, here you can see we do have the Jedi Temple. The Jedi Temple looked very odd, and this is something that's been going on since day one with Disney, I feel like. And maybe I'd have to go back and rewatch The Rise of Skywalker, because I believe The Rise of Skywalker was the first time that we saw Coruscant live action since Revenge of the Sith, if I'm not mistaken, which would place it approximately like 14 years apart. But I do remember it was either the Book of Boba Fett, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. One of those shows had Coruscant in it. Oh, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Coruscant didn't look right. Coruscant looked probably a little bit, better than this image. I mean, this image, the colors seem a little bit faded. It seems like the color grading one seems off. There's not nearly enough traffic in the sky like there should be. And sometimes I like to see a bright blue sunny or a sunset of Coruscant, just because they have beautiful sunsets. So like this image here, I believe is from Revenge of the Sith or The Phantom Menace. But this is a beautiful shot of Coruscant and the Jedi Temple, versus you go back here, the temple structure looks the same. It looks good, but the colors just don't look good. And I guess there's a shadow down here, but you can't really tell. And just all of it just seems dull. There's like no color, there's no pop. Definitely the traffic just seems to be like almost non-existent. And I remember that was a complaint I had back when watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Anakin and Obi-Wan are doing some training on one of the edge sort of rooms of the Jedi Temple, and the balcony behind them, there's not a fucking there's not a ship or a car or a transport or anything in the sky behind them. And I'm like, is it Coruscant's day off? Is it a holiday? Like the Republic? Like, is it is it a holiday? Is that why there's nobody nobody in the sky? And I think also they had put in the Acolyte, they had put like a little label on the screen that stated Coruscant, as if the audience wasn't going to recognize what planet it is. That's something. If it's a new planet, definitely throw that throw the name of it up there so I'll know. But if it's not a new planet, excuse me, us Star Wars fans aren't stupid. We're just going to go back and confirm what planet it is, based on what information we have. So, and here's another image of Coruscant and what I think it should also look like. This should definitely be from The Phantom Menace. As you can see, you got all the traffic in the sky. You got the sunset, the beautiful colors. Like, it's Coruscant like this is peak Coruscant in my mind. Definitely really beautiful. Definitely really love it. So... And if you look in the background, Sol is talking with his Jedi Padawans, and he does tell them to close his eyes, and the Padawan down below his left foot there, the orange one. Poor kid definitely cannot close his eyes. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But again, it must be Coruscant's day off, because look, there's not a single car or transport or ship or anything shuttle in the sky, which is very odd. So, and another thing that was interesting with the dialogue is that they talk a lot about fire, water, earth, wind, and what do you see? How does that make you feel? The ocean is like a weight crashing down on you. Let it envelop you. Fire is a part of nature. I understand, I guess, where they're trying to take it. In terms of their dialogue, but it just also feels like sometimes it's too too relatable. This is a science fiction. This happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and I feel like Disney has forgotten that it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And I mean, heck, they can't blame us. They can't blame the audience for forgetting that because it's no longer in the opening crawl. So, and there's at one point there's a line where Soul tells Yord that they have 5 minutes until they need to leave, and there's it's just when else in Star Wars did they mention minutes as like a sort of measurement of time that they use? Which it just seems, again, the dialogue is just, it seems as though it's lightly like placing cracks within the lore. But again, that's just that's just my opinion. There is some good things, however, about this episode. One, the actor who plays Soul, I think his name is Li Zhengjing. I don't quite remember his name, but he did go out of the way to learn English for the role of Soul, which was absolutely incredible. Really like his character, at least from what I've seen so far. The characters that I do like, I like Soul. He seems pretty cool. And then, honestly, I think it's Jackie, is Soul's Padawan, Daphne King. I do like her character. She seems kind of cool. And then Yord. Yord seems, like the idiot of the group, but I'm also excited to see, like, what are they going to do with his character. Please don't be another situation like Finn, where you have this really interesting character, and then, or just a character, and then they just do nothing with it. So hopefully they actually do something with it. The story then progresses after they're on Coruscant, and Soul, of course, finds out about his former Padawan, Osha, and the allegations that are up against her and whatnot. Well, the scene then transfers cuts to Osha. She's on like a prison transport ship where basically Yord and his Padawan had informed Osha that, hey, we're going to have to ship you back to Coruscant to stand trial for the crime that you commit or that you allegedly have committed. So as they're trying to transport her back, basically there's a prison break aboard the ship. Of course, everybody gets off the ship except for Osha. Osha then crash lands on this ice planet that kind of reminds me of Ilum. Sorry, I needed to drink some water. Reminds me of Ilum, and it's kind of like this icy, rocky planet where she then starts experiencing what I'm guessing would be these force visions of her sister, who she then finds out she's alive. There's a connection, and so she's chasing after her sister for more information with these force visions, and she ends up kind of running off towards a cliff. But before she runs off towards the cliff, Yord, Sol, and Jackie do arrive, and they do search the ship, which they don't find, of course, Osha. But they then do find, I believe they track her footprints, they do find her, and of course, they exchange some dialogue with her. I did like how Yord's lightsaber is yellow. That is something that we've only seen, I think, Rey had a yellow lightsaber at the end of Rise of Skywalker, but Yord having a yellow lightsaber, I feel like it's even though his character is kind of like the idiot of the group, Yord, that's a cool name. Yord, I think it's Yord Fandar. Kind of reminds me of Dash Rendar. So I don't know if that was a play on words, if that was intentional or what. But Yord, he does seem like a really strong, character that I would be okay if he ended up being more of a series lead down the road. Of course, it's the same actor who said that Anakin blew up the Death Star. It's like nobody. no, Anakin did not do that. Maybe he just misspoke and meant Luke, but there was another interview where he sort of doubled down on that statement and kind of went full force, which was also really odd. But his character having a yellow lightsaber, I feel as though it is very fitting and cool. And there is, I believe, again, I could be butchering it, but Daphne King's character, Jackie, her character, again, the alien design I think is really cool. And I think I read somewhere that her character is like a hybrid of both a human and then another alien species that you actually see in Jabba's palace during Return of the Jedi. Another thing that this episode, at least so far, did right is two things. It does feel as though this is new, it's fresh. It does feel as though this is set within the High Republic era, which is cool to a certain degree. And of course, we'll get to more information about that later on in further episodes. I do know there's a certain Jedi Master that makes an appearance, cameo, and I can tell you one, I'm not happy with that cameo, just because that does break some of the lore, and we will get to that later this coming week. I'm hoping to. They do also feel they do make some in-universe references, such as earlier in the episode, Osha is talking with a crew member who he throws out, hey, Nar Shaddaa and all these other places and references that have meaning. I like that. I hope they do more of that. I hope that keeps happening, because if so, then it's like, hey, Nar Shaddaa, that was a planet that you go into in the Force Unleashed. Great game, great reference, keep it up. So that's one of the pros that I have. Eventually, they do catch up with Osha. They make their way to the cliff. Osha's, telling Soul, I didn't do it, it wasn't me, and, please forgive me. And he's basically, he just says, I believe you, come with us. She actually slips and is about to fall to her death, to which Soul saves her. And then they do just take her into custody, and I believe they return back to the ship. At the end of the episode, you do see May confronting what the internet is calling Smiley Ren. Because the helmet is a very similar to design of Kylo Ren. Also, this guy does look like straight up like a Knight of Ren, where he basically says, a Jedi cannot be killed with a weapon, which is basically a contradiction in a way to what had happened at the beginning of the episode, where May does kill Master Adara with a weapon. And then he also follows up that line with steel or laser are no threat to them. And Acolyte kills without a weapon, which I guess that would mean May is not an Acolyte because, one, she killed with a weapon, and I'm presuming that the kunai that she had stabbed Master Adara with was steel, or at least a form of steel. I know it was metal, so that much I do know. But anyway, that kind of wraps up my review for episode 1. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Keep it funky, keep it fresh, keep it fun. And hopefully I can come back out to you guys with a episode 2 review later this coming week. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you think, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. But take care, everyone. Peace.